Liebe May Ayim, ich schreibe dir aus Ithaca, New York, wo ich jetzt schon seit einem Jahr lebe. Ich mache hier einen MFA in Poetry. Ich denke sehr oft an dich. Wie wäre es, wenn du im Poetry Workshop dabei wärst? Du bist dabei. Mein Schreiben ändert sich. Was würdest du davon halten? Zu einem schreibe ich Gedichte auf Deutsch. Etwas, was ich in Berlin nicht gemacht habe. Audre Lorde sprach über The Marvelous Arithmetic Distance und wie Distanz unsere Perspektive ändert. Ich befinde mich in der Distanz. Es treibt meine Sprache zu fließen. Es fließt viel Wasser um mich herum. Ich stehe und falle in einigen Zeiträumen. Wie genau diese Worte nun fallen oder dich treffen, ist noch nicht klar zu sehen, aber ich hoffe, meine Gedanken erreichen dich. Du bist hier. Dein Buch Blues in Schwarz-Weiß wurde von Anne Adams, die Professorin Emerita ist, übersetzt. Letztes Semester arbeitete ich für sie als Tutor für einen Kurs über Toni Morrisons Roman Sula. Professor Anne Adams war erstaunt, als ich ihr erzählte, dass ich aus Berlin komme. Sie sagte, I never thought that I would be working with a black German. Wir hatten Kaffee und Kuchen, es war ganz nett, sie unterschrieb mein Buch. Eine schöne Überraschung, dich in Ithaca zu treffen. Und gleich mit diesem Buch, alles Gute, Anne Adams.
Working on Afro-German community as a part of the Black diaspora, I have come to the conclusion since I've been here at this conference that there are a number of people for whom the phenomenon Afro-German is unfamiliar, and so I'm going to ask the indulgence of those who are familiar with it to let me just give an introduction to the terminology. I'll begin with a quote. The term Afro-German is still new in West Germany. It came to life when a few women of African German descent, and so May Ayim was the pioneer in researching and publishing. She did a master's thesis at the University of Regensburg in 1986 on the history of blacks in Germany, and her thesis was that blacks in Germany did not start with the Second World War, because so many people assume that certainly black Germans are the product of activists and conscious identity. And so May Ayim was the pioneer in researching and publishing. She did a master's thesis at the University of Regensburg in 1986 on the history of blacks in Germany, and her thesis was that blacks in Germany did not start with the Second World War, because so many people assume that writing of themselves, black Germans are the product of.
And so, May Ayim was the pioneer in researching and publishing. She did a master's thesis at the University of Regensburg in 1986 on the history of blacks in Germany, and her thesis was that blacks in Germany did not start with the Second World War, because so many people assume that black Germans are the product of.
So my way of writing has always been, I want to get a message across, and I want it to be understood. And I recite my poetry without reading it. I just speak to people, but for that I don't have any role model in German. So my way of writing has always been, I want to get a message across, and I want it to be understood. And I recite my poetry without reading it. I just speak to people, but for that I don't have any role models in German.
One third of the world dances near my forehead. Strong,
they celebrate in white,
making me whole,
in black,
sense pure.
All the gods
coming into me, laying me open to myself.
I was missing.
So my way of writing has always been, I want to get a message across, and I want it to be understood.
I know about laying
and
on body,
I recite my
laying
poetry
out a
without
man,
reading
giving
it. I
him
just
all
speak to
of
people,
my
but
fleshy
for that I don't have
self
any
and
role
some of my
model
pleasure.
in Germany.
Being
Rather
taken,
outside Germany,
eager,
in
wet
the United
like I
States,
get
or in
some
Britain, or even here in South Africa, there is a strong tradition of oral history of oral poetry. It's the blues in black and white. One third of the world dances over the other.
Laying on a bosom and
they celebrate in white. We mourn in black. It's the blues in black and white. It's the blues.
I set up one night.
So my way of writing has always been, I want to get a message across, and I want it to be understood. And I recite my poetry without reading it. I just speak to people, but for that I don't have any role model in Germany. Rather outside Germany, in the United States, or in Britain, or even here in South Africa, there is a strong tradition of oral history, of oral poetry. It's the blues in black and white. One third of the world dances over the other. They celebrate in white. We mourn in black. It's the blues in black and white. It's the blues.
Shake my future, push me past my complacency, my taken for granted, my comfort zone. Shake my future. Source the unimagined. Be released from the sentence of never. Take control. Empower myself. Past the dour predictions of the present and change myself. Shape my future. Challenge our first world capitalist consumers criminal zone perpetual purchasing. Shape my future. Past the echoes of the mind. Launch me out into the hinterlands. Beyond the droughts of apathy, and quench the thirst for something glorious. Shape my future with alternative kindness, the patronizing wrapping of charity cans to resist. Shape my future with a kaleidoscope of tunes. Play some other. Let my mind expand.
Freund von mir, der aus Ghana ist auch, dessen kleiner Bruder, 10-jährig, wurde aus der U-Bahn herausgestoßen, damit einem anderen Platz gemacht werden konnte, einem weißen Deutschen. Und einer weißen Freundin von mir, die in der U-Bahn saß und ihr afrodeutsches Kind auf dem Schoß hatte, wurde ganz laut gesagt, naja, solche wie euch brauchen wir jetzt nicht mehr. Wir sind hier schon selber mehr als genug. Und das war keine Seltenheit. Und ich hatte das Gefühl, plötzlich trauen sich Leute, Sachen zu sagen, die sie vorher gedacht haben. Also nicht so, dass jetzt plötzlich Rassismus aufgekommen ist, sondern ich denke, der war vorher da, aber plötzlich war so ein Freiheitsgefühl, das damit einherging. So, jetzt zeigen wir es dem Rest der Welt.
Dear Mai, as I write you this, I'm remembering that time I walked home, and as I was walking under the trees, through the wind, I heard you say, I want to be understood. I want to be understood. As the wind traveled through my lungs, the want pushed tears to my eyes. I want to be understood. You said this in an interview in South Africa in English. There was a reaching that you did, and you are reaching. I want to be understood. The trees rattled in understanding as I stood under them. There is a black oral tradition that does reach. It is borderless. It reached Audre Lorde. When she saw you, felt you, it reached her. When she heard Raya Lubinitsky recite her poetry in German. She writes this in her diary entry while she was in New York City on October 10th, 1984. She writes, What I learned about the difference when one teaches about feeling and poetry in a language that is not the original language of the people learning, even when they speak that language fluently. Of course, all poets learn about feeling as children in their native tongue, and the psychosocial strictures and emotional biases of that language pass over into how we think about feeling for the rest of our lives. She goes on to say, I'll never forget the emotional impact of Raya's poetry and how what she's doing with the German language is so close to what black poets here are doing with English. Mai, you knew that an oral history and a history of black people, in particular women, could not be told in the absence of poetry. That is why you included their poetry in Farbe Bekennen, and there in the poems is the reaching.
Due to the Shagor breaks an emergency, leaving around Nathanael. This train must investigate the reason that caused this breaks an emergency on this side. Once the investigation is completed, the train will proceed.
Vielleicht war es gar nichts. Es gibt einen Notfall. Sobald der Notfall gelöst ist, fahren wir weiter.
that transgresses language, but reaches. I want to be understood. I want to be understood. Reached me. Thank you for reaching me. I want to be understood. I want to be understood. Thank you for reaching me, standing under the trees and weeping.
Grenzenlos und unverschämt. Ein Gedicht gegen die deutsche Scheinheit. Ich werde trotzdem afrikanisch sein, auch wenn ihr mich gerne deutsch haben wollt. Und werde trotzdem deutsch sein, auch wenn euch meine Schwärze nicht passt. Ich werde noch einen Schritt weitergehen, bis an den äußersten Rand, wo meine Schwestern sind, wo meine Brüder stehen, wo unsere Freiheit beginnt. Ich werde noch einen Schritt weiter gehen und noch einen Schritt weiter und wiederkehren, wann ich will, wenn ich will, grenzenlos und unverschämt bleiben.
These things, my journals and my collections, I realized that there was a shape that was emerging, and it was exactly that of how difference, which has always been a theme that has been very dear to me, how difference alters. Mm-hmm. In other words, how perspective alters the ways in which you perceive difference from place to place. The first choice was the miraculous. Mm-hmm. That was my first choice.
Wundersame ist
miraculous.
Wundersam.
Or magical.
Yeah.
The quality that I want is magical.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, proceeding on to arithmetics as opposed to mathematics. Mathematics involves all of the higher and symbolic ways of interacting numbers. Arithmetic are the basic functions of numerology combined. The basic ways in which you combine numbers, which are adding, subtracting, multiplying.
Ich hatte einen Geliebten, ich liebte, liebe ihn noch. Er liebte, liebt mich auch. Favorit, terrorisiert, nennen wir uns zum Trost. Ich trenne mich, kommt dennoch ständig, wieder vor und zurück, tief und hoch, er auch. Wir tyrannisieren uns innig, mit Liebes- und Eifersucht. Manchmal ist es kaum zu ertragen und dann Gern wären wir, würden wir fort in der Ferne voneinander entfernt sein. Auf und davon und gemeinsam gehend gegangen.
Manchmal ist
doch
es
noch
kaum
lieber
zu ertragen
bleiben wir
und dann
drinnen und drannen, aneinander beisammen. Sicherlich nicht ganz dicht.
Manchmal ist es kaum zu ertragen und dann doch wieder doch.
Liebe Mai, ich schreibe dir, und viele Namen kommen zu meinem Mund, wenn ich dich erwähne. Wir sagen deinen Namen. May Ayim, May Ayim, May Ayim. Einen Namen für viele, die laut singen und frei lachen, feiern, kämpfen, sprechen, schweigen, leben, sterben, hoffen, leiden. May Ayim, May Ayim, May Ayim, May Ayim, May Ayim, May Ayim, May Ayim.
Thank you.